Emanating from the wrestling capital of the world, Calgary, Dramatic Park, Alberta, Canada, and broadcast to the world at www.stormwrestling.com and www.liveaudiowrestling.com. This is Storm Warning, your weekly audio check-in with Extreme Championship Wrestling superstar Lance Storm.
Lance, you guys finally got winter in Calgary.
Yeah, I spent all morning digging out.
You know, if you're in WCW, you can get out there and shovel snow for half an hour and then fake a shoveling injury. Get about 6 months off paid.
There you go. I don't have to fake injuries. I'm off TV anyway.
Yeah, what happened? How come you didn't work this weekend?
I have no idea. I was really, really surprised. I, left messages for Paul all week that, I really wanted to, step up and do something with the guys that were out, and I stepped up and did run-ins.
Wow. Speaking of not working, here's gimmick infringement number 1. Oh my God! What happened this weekend in ECW? First, Rob Van Dam's out 3 months. Sabu allegedly signs with World Championship Wrestling. Let's start with RVD. Out 3 months. What happens now?
I don't know. We're going to have to really revamp and get some good focus. We need a new main event for Living Dangerously, obviously, and some serious new plans. I keep hearing from a lot of people, we need to bring, other guys back. We need to fill spots. I disagree. I think we've got more than enough guys to fill the roster. I can name like 20 guys just off the top with people we have. So it's just going to take some revamping and some redirection. But he's down, but he's not out. The guy's going to be back. So
right now, what happens with the TV title now?
I don't know. There's, a lot of people talking, we'll strip him of it, we'll do a tournament. Other people are saying we'll, leave it on him, we'll just wait for him to come back. So I don't know.
Not a bad way to get it off him, though.
No, although I think it really shortchanges Jerry Lynn if you end up stripping it off him, because I think beating Rob for the title is something that, Jerry has earned. Sure. And I'd like to think he will get eventually.
But I'm guessing all long-term planning, it's gone out the window now.
Yeah, I think you pretty much have to just scrap everything out the window and start fresh and go, okay, where do we go from here?
Let's move on to the next. We're going to get back to Rob Van Dam in a little bit. But let's talk about Sabu. Last Wednesday or Thursday, it hit the net that Sabu had allegedly signed with World Championship Wrestling, shocking everyone. And then we find out he's still under contract to ECW. What do you know about this?
I don't know anything for a fact because I don't, I obviously haven't seen a contract, so I don't know if he's in fact got one, how good it is, or what. But I've heard from a lot of different sources that he is under contract to us for, I think, in the neighborhood of like 3 more years. And I've heard that he has and hasn't signed the WCW one.
Okay.
So I think somebody's going to be in for some serious conversations with lawyers in the near future.
Yeah, no kidding. Let's suppose that he does end up going to World Championship Wrestling. Can he help?
I don't know what can help. He certainly can help to a degree. It's just depending on how much. I think there's a lot of other issues that need to be dealt with instead of just bringing in people. They've got a lot of guys in their locker room that should help but don't. So I don't know if he necessarily can turn anything around by himself. He certainly is, entertaining television. Absolutely.
When someone jumps to World Championship Wrestling, the thinking is not, well, what are they going to do to help get him over? The thinking now is, how are they going to bury him? How are they going to bury Sabu? You know what's going to happen. The guys are on top going, he can't work. He can't do this. How do you think they're going to bury him in WCW?
If you want to bury Sabu, give him live television and a live mic and say, go cut a promo for 15 minutes. I don't think he's ever cut one in the history of his life. That's not what he does. That's not what he does well. If they send him out there with a guy that knows how to work his style and work with him, he can be very, very entertaining. If you send him out there with, a luchador or a microphone, things could not go well.
What was the feeling in the locker room on the weekend when everyone heard about Sabu?
Everyone was just really amazed because, everyone was of the impression that, he was under contract, he was part of the team, and then all of a sudden it's like, yeah, he's gone. And everybody's like, what? So, everyone's just up in the air with, it was someone lying when they said he was signed, wasn't he signed, what happened, where'd he go, and it's just, everything's just in turmoil, really.
It's no secret that he wasn't happy in the last few months in ECW, doing 2 jobs on 3 pay-per-views.
Yeah, I'd like to think that's not, if he was unhappy, which I don't know for a fact, I don't talk to the guy too much. I'd like to think there's more than just, I had to do a job on a pay-per-view, I'm unhappy. It's like, that's basically 3 jobs in a year. He never does one on TV. He never does one on the road.
Right.
Hell, I do 3 jobs in a weekend sometimes.
Hasn't hurt you.
No, but I think that's part of understanding the business and knowing how to work.
Right. For those keeping score at home, the injuries in Extreme Championship Wrestling, along with Rob Van Dam, Jerry Lynn, New Jack, Yoshihiro Tajiri, Tony DeVito. What do you know about these guys?
DeVito, I think, is going to be back this week. He was hoping to work even though he had the broken hand. I think he did once, but I know he needed physiotherapy on it because they put a steel pin in it. And with the last 3 weeks being Louisiana and the 2 Florida loops, they were staying on the road because he was still part of ring crew, I think, helping out. So he would have been on the road for 3 weeks and wouldn't have been able to do therapy, and he needed that, so they told him to stay home, take care of his hand. So he should be back in Washington and Norfolk this weekend.
What about Tajiri?
Tajiri, I heard, was just a minor thing, and he's only going to be out a few days. I've since read on the net, which may or may not be true, that it's more serious than that, and the guy might need a little bit of time off. Jack needs time off, but doesn't seem to want to take it. He seems to be tougher than he is smarter, perhaps. I don't know.
Does he have folleitis?
Maybe. He's just a real tough guy that likes doing what he's doing, and I think with the injury list and stuff, he doesn't want to leave the company hanging, which is certainly to his credit. But I would be getting myself looked at.
What about Jerry? How's his progress?
I talked to him yesterday or the day before. He said it's getting better. He's starting to stretch it and move a little bit with it. He's hoping he can be healthy for the pay-per-view, but he says it's a little too early to tell because it's 4 weeks out or so now. He thinks there's a good chance he could be back for that, and I believe that's what everyone's hoping for.
And meanwhile, Balls Mahoney is off to Japan, I guess FMW, I presume?
Yeah, he's doing 3 weeks with FMW. He was over there, not that long ago, so I guess they're just loving him over there.
He did the ECW invasion thing with Fuki.
Yeah, and Balls is really well suited for Japan because he's very loud, very vocal, and does a lot of really big stuff. So I would imagine he's getting over quite well there.
Has anyone talked about bringing Chris and Tammy back as a knee-jerk reaction? Oh, all these guys are out. Sabu's leaving. Rob's out.
I've heard a couple people like yourself, and there's another guy I was talking about, remember, who sort of asked when are they back, and I really don't think that's the solution. I don't think we need to bring anybody back. We need to just let the guys that are healthy prove that they're healthy and can do stuff. Looking at our list, we've got Dreamer, myself, Spike, Crazy, Carino, Rhino, Sandman. We've got Dusty. We've got, Balls will be back for the pay-per-view. We've got Awesome. We've got Tanaka. We've got a lot of guys still.
Sounds like a tournament in the making.
Who knows? I've heard talk of that. I haven't heard that from Paul's mouth yet, but I've heard that from different people.
Sandman's back now?
Yeah, he was back last weekend. I think it was earlier than he originally wanted, but again, sort of like New Jack, realizing the company needed him and came back.
Right. He's kind of more important now than ever, isn't he?
I would think so. He would be, to me, if I had to find a new opponent for Mike Awesome for the pay-per-view, he would be on the short list for sure.
Oh, not Tanaka?
Well, Tanaka's been done already, and you don't just want to throw out another match and have people go, oh, them again.
Right.
It's a great match and it's an awesome thing to see, but you don't want people to go, oh, they're just giving us rematches. Where Sandman's never been done. He's been the champ before. He's a big guy. He's over like crazy. And he takes a heck of a beating, so he could do some good stuff with Mike.
You think there'd be a style clash there, though?
I don't know. I think they could work around it. I think Mike can pretty much pick up anyone and anything.
Right.
So I think he can get around it.
In your Eye of the Storm commentary this week, you said, quote, "This sets the stage for a make it or break it time in ECW. If you love ECW for its break all the rules attitude, the next couple of months should be great for you. ECW has always been a strange animal in this business, and when you wound an animal, it either dies or it fights back harder than ever." Is it the general feeling in the dressing room? You guys are all rallying together for this one?
I think so. There's a few of us for sure. I know Justin and I talked several times that we really want to step up, and this is a chance to really show it. And I think a lot of it when I wrote it, I wanted to really light a fire under Paul's butt. I faxed him a copy of it and asked him to phone me so that we could really pick the pace up and do something. Because I know he's been really, really busy, and this is a time where we really have to answer the call.
Well, yeah, Paul's been called a genius for how many years now? He's the world's best booker, Paul Heyman. Let's see what he can do now. The ball's really in his court.
It is. He's going to have to come up with a good game plan for the pay-per-view, which I think we can do. And then let the boys produce, because that's one thing that ECW has always managed to do is have the boys working hard when they need to. Hell, we work hard when we don't need to.
Yeah, house shows. Yeah, no TV. You guys are working crazy hard. How about has anyone talked about bringing Shawn Michaels back for a quick fix, a quick pop of the buy rate?
His name has been thrown around since when was it? Back at the end of last year. I think his name is still being mentioned and going. That's not a done deal. We could still get it. Although, doing it right around WrestleMania time is probably not the most likely for Vince to help someone out.
Right. Oh, yeah, of course.
But it certainly would be nice.
What about the girls? you know, you hate to say it, but I mean, you know, way to drive a cheap buy is nudity. WWF's doing it.
Yeah, but the thing is, you know, you don't want to just, you know, for the sake of just, you know, what are you going to just promise, you know, okay, people tune in, you're going to see Francine naked. You know, A, I don't think she'd want to do it, and B, that's pretty low end. I think we're bigger than that.
Absolutely. Jado and Gato, are they coming in, or what's going on? I've read about it on the net a couple times.
Yeah, I've read it in a few places. I've talked to a few people that say that it's actually advertised for the arena, that they're definitely coming in. Unfortunately, I think with Paul being stressed with dealing with, you know, Sabu and everybody else, he hasn't had a chance to get back to me and let me know to that effect. But I believe they are in for the arena for Justin and I, which should be a great match. I haven't seen them in about 3 years, but I did work with them a lot when I was with War.
Right.
And they're two really top-end workers. Gato in particular is phenomenal.
It's got to make you happy. It kind of shows that you've got some stroke in the company.
Yeah, it goes to show that Paul does try to keep me happy now and again. I asked for them a couple times, and lo and behold, he got them.
Ask for Muda for the pay-per-view.
There we go.
Let's talk about the pay-per-view a little bit more. I guess, you know, right away people assume it's going to be Awesome and Tanaka or Awesome and Sandman. But let's talk about Awesome and Tanaka a little bit. They worked shows this past weekend, and they're said to be terrific matches.
Oh, man, the one at the, where was it, the second show? Tallahassee. It was unbelievable. I was actually standing beside Paul when he was watching the match, and you could see him cringe every move they did. You know, he's got the, oh, don't get hurt, don't get hurt.
Not another one.
But, you know, they pulled out some amazing stops in the finish. You know, yet again, they upstaged themselves.
Right.
Unbelievable. I think it'll probably make TV. God, I don't know how they wouldn't put that on TV. It was just fantastic.
Yeah, I was going to say that's got to be TNN this week or maybe next week.
Yeah, we did 2 weeks at TNN, so I would like to think it's going to air once or twice because it was, you know, breathtaking yet again.
Yeah, how'd that work out this weekend? You guys did 2 TVs back to back.
Actually, we ended up pretty much just doing 2 TVs all at once.
Oh, okay.
The first night, the building was not well suited for TNN. We had a phenomenal crowd. We showed up late because I got in late with my flight, and the parking lot was jam-packed, lined all the way up to the street. And it was a huge crowd, and it was a fairly rowdy crowd, but unfortunately the building was one of those that were just really flat. So it looked like you were in a 1,000-foot-long hallway.
Right.
And it just would have looked like crap on TV. So we ended up, I think he filmed 2 matches for syndication that night, and that was it, which, you know, left the pressure on for, you know, again, you know, we're going to have to kick it out. We need 2 weeks of TNN. I think even a week of syndication, perhaps, in one night, and we kicked it out.
Attaboy. Raven this week had a very public internet feud with Paul Heyman on pwtorch.com. What was the heat like between those two this weekend?
You know, they were you know, pretty heated, and you know, it's funny. I think a lot of it is each one knows the other one really well, and Paul knows how to fire Scotty up and make him perform. I don't know if that was the original plan, but I know he riled Scotty up. Scotty got his back up, and he went out and probably worked harder than I've ever seen him work since he's been back.
Yeah, I heard he did a great match with Justin on the weekend.
Yeah, they you know, they really went at it and put out a heck of a match, and they went quite long too, actually. Actually, Raven was sort of joking before I went out, sort of, you know, at a spite, he was going to go an hour and a half. but no, they really kicked out a really good match, worked really hard, and I don't know whether they were legitimately mad at each other, whether Paul just knew, you know, this is how I'm going to light a fire under this guy.
I was going to say, it sounds like he really knows how to motivate Raven.
Yeah, he knows how to motivate a lot of people. You know, there may be repercussions that they'll be mad at each other for a while, but it ended up making for good TV, so in the long run it helped out. Yeah,
you mentioned the show in Tallahassee and the match with Raven and Justin. Something on the net that I know you wanted to comment on, a posting by someone on ProWrestling.com. This is an analysis of TNN in Tallahassee. Let me give you the highlights here, or lowlights, depending on your perspective. He said he was disappointed in ECW. The show was too long. It didn't keep the crowds into the match. And then he said, if you looked closely, most of the tables were gimmicked. A lot of people left the show early. He counted between 300 and 400 people leaving. He said that Raven and Justin, their match, the crowd was totally out of it. And that he complained that people were thrown into the same guardrail because ECW was too cheap to buy new railings. They went on to mention that the biggest pop was for Dusty, Awesome, Tanaka, Dreamer, Francine and Joey Styles, and Raven, and that he didn't think that ECW was coming back to Tallahassee. Comments?
Yeah, this just made me really, really mad. You know, it's to the point where fans just can't go out and watch a show anymore. You know, they realize it's a work now, so that they figure they know far more than they do. And, you know, I've been credited on my site for not talking down to the fans, but this guy I'd like to talk down to because I think he deserves it. He's trying to talk well above his knowledge.
Right.
You know, the thing, if you look carefully, you can tell the tables were pre-cut. It's just insane. You know, I've been there, and I can tell you 100% sure that I see the guys take them out of the box and put them under the ring. You know, it's a half-inch or a three-quarter-inch particle board. It's like if you pre-cut it, it wouldn't even stand up.
Right.
You know, you throw a 250 guy at it, and it's going to break.
Right.
You know, so to claim that you saw that it's, already pre-gimmicked, you're either, lying or insane.
Everyone wants to be a reporter. Everyone wants to be Meltzer.
That's it, and it's insane. And the thing about everybody being thrown at the same guardrail, maybe they did. I can't say one way or the other. I didn't watch the entire show, but I got thrown into a guardrail, and I can tell you that I wasn't told to hit a specific one to save money. That's, ludicrous as well. Every guardrail out there is, bent like an S. The thing that really made me mad, which just, shows that this guy just doesn't know what he's doing and trying to be a Meltzer, was the biggest pop thing. He mentions that in Raven and Justin's match, the crowd was totally out of it, and the match calmed the whole crowd for the rest of the night.
Right.
And you go down to the biggest pop, number 2 and number 3 was a match following that.
Awesome and Tanaka.
So how can you get the biggest pop of the night in the main event if you've killed the crowd halfway on?
And apparently in the same post he says between 300 and 400 people left during Awesome Tanaka.
Which I doubt, but I can't say one way or the other. I wasn't watching the doors. If he was watching the doors, maybe he missed the match, and that's why he wasn't as happy.
Right.
Another thing I thought was really dumb, too, on Biggest Pops, it had Dawn Marie listed as number 10. Dawn Marie was never introduced. She came to the ring only once, and that was as part of a run-in as Justin, myself, Jason, and her came through the curtain at the same time on a run-in. So to credit her with the Biggest Pop is insane. If there was a big pop that was a number 10, all 4 of us should be down.
Right.
Certainly not just her. She never came out by herself, and she was never introduced. So this guy obviously went to the show, came home and decided to make a whole bunch of crap up so he could be a reporter.
Put himself over, essentially, is what he's doing.
And then on the post that I picked off, it doesn't even have his full name on it. So he wanted to be a reporter, but didn't want to have to answer for it.
Well, see, this is my big problem with the net. I don't mind, the full democracy, go and say whatever you want, but at least, have the stones to put your name beside it.
Yeah, exactly. And it's interesting, too, that he says, don't get me wrong, the show was awesome, but I was angry.
And they're not coming back.
It's like, how many, WWF or WCW shows do you go to that you're angry and the show wasn't awesome?
Right.
It's like, you got an awesome show, you should be happy. We did start late, but that wasn't our fault. Unfortunately, whoever booked the building, we were in after a basketball game, and they didn't get out till almost 6 o'clock. So we had to do camera setup, ring setup, and everything in a very short period of time. So we were late starting, but, we did work hard and apparently put out a good show. As
a generalization, do you think what the net has done for wrestling is good or bad?
I think on the whole it's good. I think anything you draw attention to it is good. I remember saying when I first broke in, any press is good press. There's nothing worse than, not being known, and this at least lets people be known. There's just, people have to realize that, everything you read isn't factual.
Yeah.
It's opinion, it's one person's opinion, and sometimes it's just complete garbage that someone makes up.
It's almost like they don't want to be fans anymore.
Well, yeah, it's almost the point where they figure since they now know it's a work because we admit it, that, they can, do everything themselves. They can try to book angles, they can do this, they can, report it all. And it's like, why don't you just go to a show and enjoy it?
Yeah, I remember being a kid and, being the biggest mark in the crowd. Maybe I still am. It was fun.
Yeah.
I still, whenever I go to shows, it's like, we'd be backstage talking to people and be like, when the show's on, though, I want to be out there watching. I don't want to be hanging out backstage and, getting dirt.
Or standing by the door counting guys as they leave.
Or, yeah, with the barometer with, the pop meter on it.
Exactly.
Hey, let's talk about the WWF Raw is War program this week. You had to be enjoying this. The Radicals, or the Vanilla Midgets, which might be a name they might want to go for in WWF, drawing an 8.1.
Yeah, exactly.
Guys that couldn't draw a dime.
Can't draw a dime in this business. You're vanilla midgets that could never main event.
Yeah.
Well, they just main event and blew the doors off.
Yeah, and meanwhile, on the other channel, WCW did I think it was the worst rating in their history for a 2-hour show.
Yeah, and not to mention that, half of it's unopposed and they still don't draw ratings.
Yeah.
So, it just goes to prove, and not to short the guys because they're all really talented, but anyone can main event and anyone can be important if you put the right thought process behind them. You send Eddie and Dean out there to wrestle and talk about nothing but other people, then people think these guys don't care.
Oh, you don't give them storylines. You don't give them anything to. You don't give them a reason to be in the ring.
You don't give them a reason to be in there, and you have the announcers ignore them and talk about other people. Then fans think, okay, these guys are unimportant. You send them out there with a hot angle, with hot people. Granted, they're out there with, Hunter and Cactus and Rock, who are over. But that just goes to tell people that, these guys are important, these guys are figured in, and boy, they put out.
And then there's just some guys like Benoit, where it doesn't matter who you put them out there with, doesn't matter how many times you job him. He had that losing streak on pay-per-view for, I guess, about a year. Doesn't matter how many times you go out there and try to bury him. Flair's like this, too. They just by their work rate and their charisma, they get over.
That's it. Fans aren't stupid. They can tell who has talent and who doesn't. You know, you can go out there, and if you stink the joint out but go over every night, people are going to realize you're just being pushed.
Yeah.
And if you've got all the talent in the world and give people a good product night after night and still job, people just realize you're being buried and wasted, and they will respect that.
What did you think of the show on Monday, the Raw's War show?
I thought it was really good. I honestly don't remember a whole lot of it. I remember thinking the promo they did in the back was actually halfway decent. I liked Malenko's line about desperate guys do desperate things.
Yeah.
I don't know if the comment about, throw friends out the window, this is business, was a dig at Shane Douglas or not.
Oh, I never thought about that. Oh, yeah.
But,
Maybe in Shane's mind, I'm sure it was.
Yeah, but, everybody's made their own bed and they're going to have to lie in it. So, I think these guys are quite happy with what they did, and hopefully Shane will manage to salvage what he did.
The 10-man tag team match at the end, you've been involved in a number of 8- and 10-man tag team matches over in Japan. How would you rate that one?
I actually didn't see it all, unfortunately. I got called away just as it got going and only saw bits and pieces of it.
Right.
It was, the bits I saw was just, so hot. The crowd was just so electric and stuff. It was really, really good.
Slowly but surely, people are getting back into wrestling.
Oh, let's hope.
You've been talking about
really
it.
Hope.
You've been talking about it happening for a long time now, but it looks like Vince is almost trying to re-educate his audience into learning how to appreciate a wrestling match.
Well, he's got a lot of people now that can do that. If you've got a bunch of guys who can't actually wrestle, then you cover it up with everything else.
Mm-hmm.
But he's got a lot of really, really talented workers there right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, he's got some of the best in the world.
Yeah.
Play to, and that's always been Vince's mantra. Play to your talent's strengths.
He's been very good at hiding weaknesses and accenting strengths, and he's got some workers now. So
yeah,
give us some matches.
Hey, what about Scott Steiner's promo on Nitro this week? Was that funny
Wow.
or what?
I can't believe someone didn't turn the mic off.
They just let him go.
Yeah.
You just can't let him go.
With language like that, and actually, basically saying WCW sucks. Why don't you tune into Raw? Basically.
Yeah.
And
go watch Steve Austin. Flair's nothing.
Wow, yeah, and he said some very unflattering things about Flair.
Oh, I know.
I'm assuming he wasn't authorized to talk like that, so...
I can't see that being part of the script.
That's amazing. But, he did it. They left him on, and unless they fire him or cut his pay, he got away with it.
No, it looks like he's trying to get himself fired.
Maybe. I think they sent him home with pay, so...
Now, how's that punishment?
I don't know. I should start doing that.
Take a few days off with pay. That'll teach him.
I don't think he had his heart set on working on the road anyway, did he?
No.
Probably not.
No. There's a couple guys here that don't have their hearts set on it.
Yeah, and I don't understand why the big heel group in the company comes out with really, really hot chicks to get him a babyface pop. I don't understand that.
I know, and doing survey time and playing to the crowd. It's like, if you're going to be a heel group, be a heel group.
Yeah, like, I don't understand, like, who hired the girls? Was it them or was it the office? If it was the office, they don't,
Right.
Where's your logic? If they're heels, let them be heels.
Yeah. Hey, Lance, can you burn a bridge in wrestling? I mean, let's talk about, Scott Steiner trying to get himself fired. It looks like Scott Hall is trying to get himself fired. And, the thinking is, well, they could go to New York, or, well, they could go work for Paulie. Can you burn a bridge in wrestling? Is there anywhere you can't go in wrestling when it comes right down to it?
When it comes down to it, you can burn the bridge, but I think if you can draw them ratings and someone thinks you can make money, they'll just send a boat for you.
The bridge is burned, but...
The bridge is burned, but, we'll send a boat for you in 10 minutes. I think we can need you for ratings.
Very quietly in the middle of the night, we'll sneak you in.
Exactly. Sandman, burned a bridge and exploded it, according to Paul, and we sent the boat for him.
Yeah, that was the one guy, I mean, out of the last few years in wrestling with guys flip-flopping back and forth, he was the one guy I thought, you know what, he can never go back to ECW. He better hope things work out in Atlanta.
Well, you would have thought after the Arn Anderson thing with Sid in England that Sid's bridge was burnt, but
hey,
they needed ratings and they sent the boat for him.
Attempted murder can't burn a bridge.
Exactly.
Who can burn a bridge in wrestling?
Let's be honest. I think it's basic. It's a money-oriented business, and if someone thinks you can make them money, then
sure,
you're back.
Hey, Cactus Jack is getting ready to get back in the cell, the Hell in a Cell. I guess this is number 4. What are your thoughts on Cactus risking his life again? This seems like a no-win situation for everybody except for Vince.
Vince and the blood-hungry fans that love to see people kill themselves.
Mm-hmm.
When you hear how hurt the guy is, it really, really scares you. I'm assuming that perhaps this match and then perhaps WrestleMania will be it for him. I don't see how they would keep him out of WrestleMania when he made the speech that the only thing he hasn't done is main event at WrestleMania. So I'm assuming one way or the other he will do that. So he better not kill himself in this one.
Well, he can't win in this one. If he goes out there and looks after himself and tries to protect himself, then the fans go, well, Foley's toast. That was a crappy match. But then if he goes out there and tries to do what he did last time, he might not be able to walk to wrestle. Might have to wheel him to the ring.
Yeah, it's a real dangerous situation, but you know he's the one that's going to have to answer it and do it. But I really hope that if he does, you know, work hard but not completely murder himself, the fans don't crap on it. Like, you know, cut the guy a break. If he gives him a good match, be happy with it.
Yeah.
Don't expect the guy to get thrown off the top of the cage, you know, onto thumbtacks. Don't expect him to, you know, go through the cage on his head. If him and Hunter give you a good, exciting match, whether it be, you know, as dramatic as the one before, or if there isn't as many big bumps as before, please just enjoy it and don't sell the guy short, because you don't want the guy dead.
Yeah, most of the people that I've talked to are horrified at the fact that he wants to go back in the cell. They're going to do this match. I don't know anyone except for, you know, the fans that pop for it because they think that wrestlers are superhuman. I don't know anyone that really thinks this is a good idea.
Yeah, all the boys who know the guy or are considerate of, you know, injuries and understand it are concerned. But I think, you know, there'll be 20,000 people there all wanting to see him, you know, take the most god awful bumps they've ever seen in their life. And I hope he doesn't go insane with it. He probably will. But, you know, I hope fans don't crap on it if he does take care of himself to a degree.
Does he make the business too dangerous?
I think so. I think there's a lot of guys that do. You know, they set a standard that you just can't keep up with.
Right.
New Japan, not New Japan, but junior heavyweights in Japan have done that now. You know, they do so many high-risk dives and high-risk moves that so many of the guys are all just being banged up and retiring. Like Yasu, the kid that I worked tag with in Japan, he's retired now. He's in his 20s with a bad back.
Well, like the magic age now is 30. If you can make it to 30, kid, you've done it.
Yeah, and that's just insane because generally speaking, you know, around 35 are your money years.
Yeah. And you know we're not going to see Jeff Hardy when he's 35. I mean, I love him. I think he's terrific, but, jeez, we're not going to be seeing him for 15 years.
I would really doubt it, yeah.
You know?
And, you know, I think, you know, guys going to have to realize that. And, you know, unfortunately, it's, you know, it's sort of a way, not necessarily him because he is a talented worker, but it's a way for people who maybe aren't as good, as talented, or aren't as big to get noticed.
Right.
They, you know, risk their life and they get the spot, but it's like you're setting a standard that, you know, a body can't keep up with. And then you crash and burn and are crippled in 3 or 4 years and are retired, and the next guy coming along, fans expect him to top it.
Right.
And you just can't do it.
And I think what it really hurts, too, is a lot of the indie guys who think, well, you know, the cheap way to get over, I'll get over like Cactus did. I'll just take a ton of punishment.
Yeah, and they go out there and they slice their foreheads up and they drive thumbtacks into their eyes and they...
For $50.
Dive, yeah, some of them aren't even getting that. They spend more on the thumbtacks on their way.
Oh, jeez.
And it's just a really, really dangerous thing.
Yeah. Hey, what's on the TNN show this week to shift gears?
I honestly don't know because we filmed so much for so many weeks. And I would say either the Raven-Justin match or the Awesome Tanaka match for sure. I would imagine one of them will. I'm pretty sure there will be a Danny Doring Roadkill versus Nova and Chetty, which, you know, isn't the first time you've seen that, but Chetty's back and was healthy, and it was a really good match, actually.
Oh, yeah? How's Chetty feeling?
He seems quite good. He, you know, he warms up a lot beforehand, which is smart, but he doesn't seem to be in any pain, or at least he doesn't tell anybody about it.
Right.
So I think this was his first actual real legitimate, you know, hard-working match that he got through, so. Oh,
cool. And fans in Canada can see you on Off the Record next Thursday, February 17th, Hardcore Thursday?
That's the plan. Just waiting for my plane ticket, but yeah, that's the plan next Thursday.
Perfect. And this weekend you're in Washington and Norfolk, Virginia. You gonna work this weekend?
One would think so. It's not TV, so there's a good chance of it.
You gonna bring your tights, just in case?
Yeah, just in case I'll bring my tights.
Thanks, Lance. We'll talk to you next week.
All
Good
right,
luck
take
this
it
weekend.
easy.